bendiga. Bienvenidos a otro episodio de Activados. Estamos aquí con Joel Jimenez, que nos acompaña el día de hoy para hablar un poquito de su vida. Y queríamos hablar de su vida y de la música, pero su vida es música. Entonces, vamos a ver qué tanto podemos abarcar en este episodio. Yeah. Pero gracias por estar con nosotros. Thank you for being with us, bro.
Oh, no. Thanks for the invitation. It's an honor. It's a privilege. It's a blessing to be here. En Activados.
Yeah.
Una bendición. Gracias por la invitación. Gracias por tenerme aquí con ustedes, con todos estos muchachos que siempre hacen un excelente trabajo.
I mean, you're also in that industry, though. Like,
yeah. I also do multimedia, everything that goes involved with it. So that's cool. It's pretty awesome.
Hey, well, we're happy to have you here, and you being in multimedia, we were laughing earlier, and when you asked the question about where we were getting sound from.
So we were looking at the cameras, like, oh man, this is great. Where are you getting sound from? George.
No, I'm just messing with you, bro.
It's good. It's the allergy pills that are still at work.
Hey, we can chalk it up to that.
Blame it on that. Yeah.
No, we go way back.
Yeah.
Little kids. I was a little kid looking up at a teen back in the day.
Oh, wow.
And seeing you play, seeing you grow up, and being influenced in, I would say, in the music side of things a lot, especially back in the day. And we were talking before the episode about a lot of things, but a lot of people, you're saying they don't know. They might not know a lot about your upbringing or everything. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, where we go.
There's not a little bit to say. There's
a lot. Yeah.
Oh man, my life has been an adventure, to say the least. It even begins before I was born. My parents, they migrated to the States. Mi viejito llegó a los Estados Unidos tocando con una orquesta de salsa, bro, en los 70s. Mm-hmm. Y pues el hombre vino con un montón de colombianos, ecuatorianos, venezolanos. Y él era el güirero y el cantante. Tropical Playa Suave, bro. Y pues ellos llegan a la ciudad de Houston, Texas, en los 70s. Y en el 81, mis padres tienen un encuentro con el Señor. Se convierten, se bautizan en el nombre de Jesús. And then they start praying. They start praying for a child. Oran para que tengan un hijo que le pueda servir al Señor. Y pues muy chévere, ¿no? En el 82 llega Joel, el Chino Jimenez. Pero esa historia para llegar a servir al Señor es una historia con muchas vueltas, con muchas unexpected turns. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a lot of failures, a lot of retries, and throughout my whole life, I've seen the love, the grace, the favor, the forgiveness of God. It's been evident. I can see it in everything now. But there was a time where I didn't. But before we get to that, so at 2 years old, a los 2 años de edad, ya comienzo a tocar lo que son los sartenes, lo que son en el sofá. Usaba, las cucharas de cocinar de mi mamá y siempre le dañaba the tops de las lámparas, boom, todas quebradas porque ese era mi platillo. Cuando me estaban bañando, pues los cepillos de dientes eran los palos de la batería y todo eso. So, las baquetas, para decirlo correctamente. But at 2 years of age, ellos ya sabían que, pues, no, este muchacho va a ser músico. Y pues llega a los 4 años de edad. Y en aquellos tiempos, en los 80s, el servicio a las damas era los lunes, bro. No había nadie, pero había servicio de damas. Y entonces allí comencé a tener oportunidades. Batallaba para subirme al trono de la batería, ¿no? I would struggle so much to get on top. My mom always tells me this story, right? And so I'm struggling to get on top, and I finally, or it would fall, and I would fall with it. So I'd have to pick it back up. And I'm over there, and then my little feet are dangling. I couldn't reach the pedals. And then by the time I'm sitting on the throne, ya se había acabado la alabanza, entonces tenía que esperar hasta que siguiera la siguiente alabanza, y entonces ahí ya le daba. Pero así era en aquellos tiempos, en los 80s, bro. So yeah, my life is tied with music. Like we can't separate both. It just goes, and it goes with all the other, you know, creative outlets that God has blessed me to be a part of, you know.
Yeah.
And so fine, that's in the early 80s. Y me da gusto ahora, la verdad, ver a todos estos jóvenes que están bien activos sirviendo al Señor, bro. Porque en nuestros tiempos no fue fácil.
Yeah.
We got a lot of pushback. Growing up. We had we didn't have all the support that all the youth has now. So sometimes when you're paving the way, oh man, it's tough. It's tough because you got to go through, you know, all the punches and all that. So you just got to put on that thick skin and move forward, man.
Yeah.
But growing up, you know, siendo un niño, cuando venían los adultos y no, que este niño, que no sé qué, que no sé cuánto, y ya bajaba el niño todo llorando y todo eso. Pero increíble, ¿no? Pues tuvimos que pasar por esa etapa para poder, pues, como dije, ponernos esa, como dicen por allá, una concha, una you know, shield, you know, thick skin.
Yep.
Yeah, piel gruesa. Bueno, pues ya eso fue en los 80s, ya llegando a los 10, 11 años de edad. Mi viejito siempre traía buena música a la casa, bro. En aquellos tiempos eran los cassettes. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
Man, cassettes, man. Yeah. So, en la casa crecimos escuchando lo que era la salsa cristiana. Richie Ray, Bobby Cruz, los pioneros de la salsa cristiana, bro. Good stuff. Escuchábamos la orquesta Querubín, que la orquesta Exarís, que, bueno, en aquel tiempo apenas iba comenzando José Papo Rivera. Y él no traía la tremenda orquesta Galé que tiene ahora. No, like before he would have everything was sequenced and he would play all the percussion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those you can't find anymore.
Yeah.
Only if you had the cassettes.
Yep.
Yeah. But anywho, so we grew up listening to that vallenato, Giovanni Rios, and all that stuff. So that was great. But he would also always bring whatever was up and coming in Christian music. To tell you this, man, en los 80s había un grupo, heavy metal band, bro, called Striper.
I've heard of them.
You heard of them? Oh man, it's like you're looking at, I don't know, Kiss, but Christian version. And so I would grow up listening to that, and I was surprised. And now that I think about it, I was like, oh my God, my dad would let me listen to that. But I mean, it was a wide range of music. You know, from that, I would listen to Carmen back in the late 80s, and then in the early 90s. Around age 11, Christian music, especially Spanish Christian music, flipped. It just did a drastic change.
Yeah.
And it all started when I heard a band called Torre Fuerte. Oh, man.
Los Hermosillo and the...
Yeah, los hermanos Hermosillo y Álvaro López.
Yep.
Bueno, Álvaro López no, pero López sí. Bueno, abrí la caja y la verdad, la primera vez que abrí el cassette no me causó mucho interés porque había comprado varios cassettes mi viejito, ¿no? Estaba Juan Carlos Alvarado, estaba otro de Alabanza y Adoración y Torre Fuerte, pero la caja no se miraba interesante, bro. Eran dos cables así de instrumento y en el centro decía Torre Fuerte y era café. It was like sand brown. So I was like, man, what is this? Like, this is weird. So that was the last one that I wanted to see because it didn't look interesting, which goes into graphic design. That's why it's so important that whatever you create, it needs to be eye-catching.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great cover, but as a child,
Yeah.
it didn't seem that interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because all the other ones had a lot of colors and all this kind of stuff. Okay, fine. So I open it, right? And I'm like, what is this? And I'm looking through it. I was like, all right, let's hear it. Boom. I put the cassette, press play. The first sounds that started coming out, I was like, oh my God, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this? And then you hear Alvaro Lopez with all his crazy drum fills. You know, Hector with his crazy guitar and bass solos. And then Heriberto doing all these synth sounds and solos. I was like, oh my God, and all these harmonies and all these crazy arrangements. I was like, what is happening? So I siendo niño, bro, yo escuchaba cada instrumento, qué es lo que estaba haciendo cada instrumento, no importaba el género. Y yo tenía que saber que ese era un trombón, que esa era una trompeta, que ese era, no sé, el instrumento. Y yo me sentaba en aquellos tiempos, ponía las manitos aquí holding my head, y me acostaba en mi pecho y siempre escuchaba todo. Cerraba los ojos y me imaginaba el grupo que estaba tocando. Para mí eso era... we didn't have a TV growing up, so
yeah.
you had to use your imagination, right? And so I would listen to that, and it was just like mind-blowing. And that's when, we grew up playing very simple music, right? Well, not that simple, but, still. For that time, it was still very simple. And then that's when I said, boom, I got to get better. I have got to get better. And so I wanted to learn everything that Alvaro Lopez was playing. I wanted to learn all the songs. I wanted to learn all the fills. And I dedicated myself to perfecting my craft. Not knowing, right? I was a child. I was so excited about it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do everything that they were doing, right? So then that's at 11. And I showed you a picture of kids, the little band we had.
Yep.
So that little band started. It was with the twins, Joel and Jonathan Kamey, Steve Bow, Tony Tovar, myself, Joel Benavides, and Julie. And so that happened because Sunday nights we had services at church. And so the kids would go off to their classes, whatever. Pero el director de la escuela dominical viene y me dice, bueno, muchachos, necesitamos que ustedes se armen un grupito para que durante las clases pues tengamos un momento de alabanza y adoración y ustedes son los que tocan. Oh, no, pues qué chévere. Y nosotros peladitos, bro, 11 añitos y, oh, my God, nos van a dar oportunidad para tocar. Qué chévere, porque allá en el Santario no nos dan mucha oportunidad. Entonces, pues acá lo vamos a hacer, So, le enseñé lo poco que sabía del bajo a Joel. Jonathan, pues él ya tocaba más o menos la batería. Nada más le dije, hey, hay que perfeccionar cositas por aquí y por allá. Steve Bow, en ese tiempo, pues cogió las congas. Yo le estuve enseñando un poquitico de eso. Y yo empecé a tocar lo que el piano. Very basic, 3-finger chords, very basic. But, we tried, and Tony was playing trumpet. And so we started. And the great thing about it is that the twins had their instruments at home. And then our neighbor, growing up, él tenía cultos de hogar, el hermano Guevara. Entonces nosotros pasábamos cada fin de semana, las vacaciones, no importando qué tiempo teníamos libre, era allí, practicando all the time. And so then going into my teens, waking up to that sound, that new sound of Christian music, then I started listening to English music. I mean, I always did. We always listened to Christian English music at home. But then started coming up my favorite band of all time, DC Talk.
DC Talk.
Yes. We had the Newsboys. We had, Kidman's Call. We had, a whole bunch of artists. Kirk Franklin was coming up like, oh, my God, this is so cool.
Yep.
And I love the way he fusioned gospel and R&B. And it was just like, oh, my God, we got to do stuff like this. And these cats... they started going to HSPVA, High School of Performing and Visual Arts, bro. So growing up listening to Alvaro Lopez, these cats learning all these, rudiments on jazz and gospel and all that stuff. So the musical level just it skyrocketed for us, The expectation, even not only that, but we had, being boys, we had that healthy competition, but it would polish us, Nos poleamos uno al otro. No, okay, oh, you can do a drum fill? Watch me. Yeah. Oh, you know how to do that? Oh, watch this. Right? And it was always that healthy competition, but it would polish us. And, and the expectation was always, pushed further. And since these cats, they actually went to learn trumpet and trombone. But because they were in a school surrounded by music, they picked up everything quick. Jonathan was already a drummer, so he perfected his drumming, and then he went on to piano. Joel went into bass and guitars, and he still played trumpet. So these cats we were playing everything,
Yeah.
And so we all loved different genres, from salsa to rock to anything, and we would mesh it. And growing up in our church, no, que la hermanita venía y se iba a cantar un especial que se inventó y hay que seguirla, ¿no? Pues y va cambiando de tono a cada verso. also, you know.
She's jazzing it up, bro.
She's jazzing it up. There you go. So learning improv, learning all of that, and learning to adapt to different genres, you know, and musically, like that really created a huge musical library for me, you know, and that helped me out in my musical. It's actually helping me even now, you know. So that's what happened in my teen years. Then there was a time in my 20s where I left church. I was tired. I was frustrated. Various things, you know, and sometimes and this is probably something that we all struggle with, from serving the Lord so much that you forget to spend time with the Lord, right? Yep. And so
you burn out.
Yeah, you burn out, and you know, you're always
because you're always participating.
You're always participating, right?
You're always serving,
and it's great, and you do it out of the goodness of your heart, right? Because you love God, and you're taught to serve the Lord, right? And that's great. But there comes that time where you're just like, man, you see all the imperfections, if you know, to say, you see all the, you know, the lack of commitment, the lack of, you know, and all these kind of things that you should not be paying attention to, right? But so once you look at those things, you're like, man, my mind was not in the right place. My heart wasn't even in the right place, right? And so in my mid-20s, I leave and I say, I'm not coming back. Pero en ese tiempo creo que Dios tenía que enseñarme una lección que todavía no había aprendido. And he's never done with us, right? Él nunca termina con nosotros. Siempre nos está perfeccionando. Siempre está trabajando con nosotros. Pero en ese tiempo yo necesitaba que pasar por esa situación, bro. Dejé la iglesia, me fui al mundo. Las drogas, el alcohol, mujeres, placeres, todo eso. Y al principio le estaba contando la historia de mi viejito, que él llegó a los Estados Unidos, ¿no? Tocando con su orquesta, y él tenía la misma experiencia, ¿no? De que él disfrutó de todo eso, la farándula y toda esa vaina. Like, awesome. He had that experience. I hadn't lived that experience. I'm not saying that I had to go through it, but according to God's plans or my mistakes, I went through it, right? He allowed for it to happen. And I'm actually thankful that I have this opportunity to be back. A lot of guys that I know
don't come back,
or they didn't get the chance to come back,
yep.
Right? And so I'm thankful for this opportunity that we're here back again. So I leave, right? Y empiezo a tocar con grupos de salsa en clubs, en los escenarios, ¿no? de la noche. The funny thing about it, though, is that the musicians that I was playing with, they had all grown up in church. So, aún estando ahí, bro, we still had the Christianese, you know? No, todos sabíamos el mismo lenguaje. Todos, a varios muchachos que estaban ahí, pues, habían tocado con Marcos Witt, habían, you know, tremendos músicos, you know, también. Y habían crecido en la iglesia y todo eso. Resulta que los muchachos empiezan a sentir eso de regresar a los caminos del Señor. Sale el bajista, chévere, y se fue. No, que nos dejó el bajista, no, es que se fue con las hermanoides y bueno, ni modo. Nosotros seguimos, la rumba. Pero en ese tiempo, man, it was crazy, man. Era de tomar jueves, viernes, sábado y una vez al mes el domingo, bro. Y no que un traguito, que no, bro, la gente venía y ahí todos los tragos, bien, Chino, ¿qué estás tomando? No, que yo le voy a traer esto, una locura, bro, una locura. Y a veces hasta yo ni sabía, una vez, bro, que no me recuerdo cómo llegué a la casa. Me recuerdo solamente haber cerrado la puerta de mi apartamento, cómo llegué, no sé, yo sabía que había manejado, that's it. Si había lastimado a alguien o no, I don't know. Nada, cierro la puerta, like, oh my God, I'm home. Thank you, God, for letting me be home. That was one of the turning points. God started working through me. I left that band. I went with another band, a bigger band, a better. And I was like, man, I need to go to bigger, better things, right? Fine. I get to this band. Me recuerdo que fuimos a un evento. Fuimos a tocar. Llegan los tremendos músicos, tremenda orquesta de como 15 miembros, bro. Big old salsa band. Llegamos al escenario, todo muy chévere. Resulta que no llega ni una persona, bro. Solamente los meseros, la gente que está ayudando. Y tremenda orquesta, bro. Sonando bien chévere. Tomamos un break. Y en el break están hablando los muchachos. Hey, ¿qué le pasó a ciertos músicos? No, que se fue a la iglesia y... qué lástima, man. Perdimos un buen músico. Ellos no sabían que yo había venido a la iglesia ni nada de eso. Y yo estaba a un lado y había escuchado eso. Pero dije, man, he went to better things. He actually went to better things. So then I'm walking back into this club, right? It's all dark and there's nobody there. And we're playing. And I'm thinking like, what am I doing here? I know that at church, you either play with a few people or a large group, but no matter what, you feel God's presence. Mm-hmm. Here, you feel nothing. Nothing. And I was playing, but I was just there like a mummy. Mm-hmm. And I said, man, it's time for me to change. To take a step back, figure things out. I know I do not belong here. Yo no pertenezco acá. Eso fue lo que más me impactó, ¿no? Salimos de ahí, empezó una serie en la televisión de la Biblia. They had started a Bible series on secular TV. I was like, what? But watching that, God started using that series. And I think that's something that's very important because we need to have creatives that create, visual, anything that's visual or visual performing arts. If you do it, God's using that right now. Like, everybody watches Netflix, whatever. But these kids, we have talented kids right now at our church. It's time to create cool stuff, man. It's time to, hey, we're going to go all out. If we're going to do something, we're going to do it right. And so I encourage you guys, multimedia people, let's do it. Get to work. But anywho, so that happens. I go to a convention. I surprised my mom on Mother's Day. She hadn't seen me in years. I completely lost communication with them because I was like, no, they're going to want me to go to church, so I don't want to talk to them or whatever. No, but I surprised my mom at church on Mother's Day. Oh, that was an awesome day. I remember that. It was beautiful. From there, I kind of started going back to church, whatever. And then convention came. This was 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. And convention was great. I went and whatever. But I wasn't feeling, I don't know, what I was expecting to feel. And so on Sunday, I go to Central. And they invited a special guest speaker, el pastor Juan Bautista Romero. En la noche, él está dando su predicación. I have no idea what he preached about. I don't remember it at all. I just remember he was preaching. Towards the end of the preaching, just before altar call, I remember just closing my eyes, and I felt God just grab me from here, pull me up, boom, pull me up. And, he spoke to me, and he said, you're mine, tú eres mío. Dios te escogí desde antes de tu nacimiento. Tú eres mío. That's all I remember. Next thing I know, I'm up in the altar, just letting it all out, and just a huge crowd of hermanos, they came and they prayed for me, and I felt like this huge load just fall off. Viejo, cuando yo volvía a la iglesia, yo tenía la gran melena, bro, el samurái. El samurái, bro. Tenía la gran melena y, bro, I remember, la gente cuando me veía, cuando volvía, con ese dolor en el corazón, ¿no? Porque, pues, no, vimos a este muchacho crecer y después se fue y míralo cómo se ve ahora y todo. Pero yo tuve que tener ese encuentro con el Señor personal. Yo había escuchado al Señor de sus grandezas y todo eso, pero no es hasta que yo pude tener esa experiencia. Y esas son escrituras que están en la Biblia, pero cuando uno los vive, like, oh my God, like this is the real deal, right?
Yep.
And so he calls me up, and that began the life change, right? I had a couple of setbacks, and then I was like, man, I you got to get it together, bro. You got to grow up. And then life happened, whatever. And then I remember getting to a small church, and I saw this young lady. She was leading worship at church, and I was like, who is that? And then my little sister said, no, sir, she is a good girl, and you come from being in party life. And I said, is she married? No, I don't know. And she's all game, bro. Yeah, man. And no, yes, tuve que verdaderamente conquistar a esta mujer, bro. Le tuve que pedir como 5 veces que fuera mi novia y 4 veces me dijo que no. Ya para la 5ª vez dijo, all right, I guess.
She gave up.
Yeah.
She gave up.
She gave up. Yeah. Man, persistent. Man, como este chino, man. Pero bueno, pues ahí conocí a mi esposa que ahora y Dios ha usado a esta mujer para enseñarme su amor, su gracia. He's been showing off how he loves, through her, and it's awesome. So I'm thankful that I have an amazing family. I have my daughter. She's 6 years old. She is a handful. She's awesome. She's beautiful. She's super sweet. And then I just had a little man, little Matthew J.
Wow.
He's 5 months old, 6 months old. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So through all that, and I say all this because I didn't expect to have the blessings that I have now. Oh, and to go back to the band where they all started going back to, to church. Now, that same band that we used to play at clubs, now we're a band, Cántico. And so now we play together, we minister together. God has opened doors that we just could not imagine. We're with a Darga group. And they're the ones that handle Miel San Marcos and Alex Campos and all these huge Christian artists. Sorry, excuse me. And now we're, part of that. It's like, oh, wow. Like why, how,
Yeah.
But that's God, man, just showing off his love,
For
grace,
sure.
and mercy.
No, and it's awesome to hear that because sometimes we don't hear you could say the other side, of going into the world, leaving church and what it does, and coming back and everything. And, like you were saying, some people don't get a chance to come back. And, that's a great privilege just to be able to do that.
It's a blessing. It's crazy. I lost, some friends that I grew up with, and they've passed away, and they didn't have that opportunity to come back.
Yeah.
And but God in His grace,
For
and
sure.
He said, "Chinito, I chose you, bro." And so, and it's still, it's still a growing path. There's still a lot of things that I struggle with, that I'm learning, that I'm growing. But I thank God that I have this opportunity now, that I'm here now.
Of course.
And I'm able to serve God in different areas. It's not just music, graphic design, photography, video, all that. Voiceover. I've been able to help out in the radio station and, creating jingles and post-production stuff and everything. It's great. It's fun. I love it. So I thank God for everything that He's done up till now. So
I have a question for you, and I don't know, how, because I've never asked you this, but how old were you when your sister passed away? Because I'm sure that must have been a tough process.
That was a tough process. That was in the year 2003. That was that was really tough. Sorry, excuse me. She was one of the persons that really believed in me in a time I was 18 years old. And it was a time where I really didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe in what God was doing through me. I was bitter. I was angry. And she would always tell me, little man, God wants the best for you. And I would always, say, no, this is just an ultimatum. If I don't do what He says, then nothing's going to go right and everything. But then I realized, He does want what's best for you. Now I realize it,
Yeah.
And she believed in me so much. That was a tough process, losing someone that I had seen God transform. In her teen years, ella era la rebelde, ¿no? De la iglesia. Pero Dios la transformó. Dios la usó de una manera increíble. Perder a mi hermana fue un proceso muy, muy, muy fuerte. No lo pude superar hasta muchos años después. Pero también pude ver lo que Dios puede hacer con una persona, So I was like, man, and I remember the time that, that I started coming back to church, I was like, God, I want that double portion that my sister had, I want my life to be, a testimony to someone. And so, and I really hope that that's happening,
Yeah.
to see her, how God blessed her, changed her life. And I hope that something like that happens in my life, you know. And so, but she really impacted me in a positive way. She was always so happy. So, you know, she just had the joy of the Lord everywhere, you know. And she always, I loved that she always pushed for the youth ministry to be better. She always wanted better. So, and that question, I still carry it with me, and I ask every youth minister or youth pastor that I get to speak with, like, so what are you doing to impact the youth now, and what are you doing to change it and to make it for the better? And so those are the three questions that she always used to ask, and I carry it with me, and it's like, that's something that you have to keep in mind. Like, what are you doing?
Of course.
Like, why are you here? What's your purpose? And how are you going to get from A to B? How are you going to make it better? When you leave, and you leave a legacy, or you leave your mark, right?
Yeah.
Your discipleship, how is that going to get better? How are you setting up the next generation? So her testimony really impacted my life. So.
Wow. Do you think losing her affected you in the sense of maybe there was pain that pushed you away in a certain sense?
Yeah, it did. I remember that the day she passed, I was so angry.
I ask because there's people that deal with this. You know?
And so she passed, right? And I remember hermanos came to the house, and they're all praying. And I walk into the living room, and I'm like, why are you guys praying? Nothing's going to get better. She's gone. Why are you praying? Stop praying. My brother-in-law grabbed me from, my older sister's husband. He grabbed me. He took me outside. He's like, hey, bro, let me tell you something. Melly's gone because she was ready. You and I, we're not ready. That's why we haven't left yet. That stuck with me. And it's always been with me, too. So it's like, man, wow. That's so true.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason I ask is because a lot of people deal with that, and that pain, that hurt, never gets resolved with the Lord. And they might be able to carry, because I went through that, losing my uncle. That was the first person really close to me that I lost, and it hurt in the sense that I felt like God didn't even exist.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Yeah. I think I've never had the doubt that he existed, but I did have anger and resentment towards him.
Yeah.
That is something very true. And I have, thank God that he's forgiven me.
Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that was a time where I was just so angry, bro. Yeah. So angry, so bitter. Y no le miraba cara de malo a todos, y la gente que me decía algo, yo respondía de una manera muy, pues, tenaz, bro. Like, it was rude, like, and I'm sorry if I ever hurt someone, but it was a tough time, man. It was really tough, and now that I think about it, it's like, oh wow, like I carried that with me for a long time, and I had to let God come and transform my heart, dude.
Yeah,
it's yeah.
And if you could tell somebody that's going through that, what would be something you would tell them?
Oh man, that's hard because every person goes through a different process.
Correct.
The only thing that I can say, and it's what my sister said, God wants what's best for us, and sometimes it doesn't make sense what he does or how he does it, but he does want what's best for us. So just hang on tight. It's a process that we have to go through at times, and it's easier said than done. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, when God starts working, or if he's called you for something, get ready for bumps and bruises. It's going to happen regardless. So, ármese de la armadura del Señor. Tómese las promesas del Señor, bro. It's easier said than done. But, man, a los que permanecen, I'll tip my hat y pues adelante. Los que están quizá pasando por una situación, no, es que estoy muy lejos del Señor, o lo que me pasó cuando era niño, o perdí a alguien, o whatever, tienen ese resentimiento, entonces ese dolor hay que dejar que Dios cure esas heridas, bro. No el tiempo, sino que Dios.
Yeah.
Eso es, yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough.
Yep.
But my encouragement is just to think about that God wants what's best.
Yep. Even if it doesn't seem that way in that moment.
Yeah.
He still wants the best for us.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're so focused inside of it that we don't see the
or
plans.
you think that life's going to be a bed of roses.
Yeah.
And it's not.
It's not.
And especially, man, the ones that grew up in church, a lot of times they deviate, but I know for a fact because I was out there and I met a lot of them, and they know. Mm-hmm. They know, you know. God is real, man, and he's calling all his children, and he wants us all back together. And maybe they're hurt, their church hurt, mm-hmm. because of the way we were taught, mm-hmm. or we were raised, and a veces creen que no, es que se sienten que no son capaces de llegar a esas expectativas irrealísticas, mm-hmm. Unrealistic expectations, rules and regulations and whatnot. It's like, bro, don't worry about that. Just remember God's grace. That's what saves us, and that's what I had to experience, God's mm-hmm. grace. Because I was so terrified to come back to church, bro. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh no, I don't want to go back there because I was never able to follow all the rules. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Rules aren't the things that are going to save you, bro. It's God's grace. Mm-hmm. There's, every place has, their own way of running the church and whatnot. But whenever you come back being thankful because God allowed you to go through all that mess, mm-hmm. and he still loves you, and he still wants to have that relationship with you, mm-hmm. oh, you do things out of thankfulness. Everything's different. Everything's different because I could have died that time. I was driving drunk on the road. Mm-hmm. I could have been shot when there was fights at the club. Mm-hmm. I could have died so many ways, so many times. But God said, no, I chose you. So if you're watching out there and or you're listening and you feel like you've been too far or whatnot, don't be thinking that. God, he's calling you and he's reaching out to you. So come back.
It's great not just knowing or hearing it from somebody, but from somebody that's gone through it, Yeah. And I think a lot of people, like you said, are scared to come back. And I think you shouldn't be scared. I think, like you said, gratefulness because of his grace, we're still here. That's something we need to remember.
Yeah, and I actually had to go to a different church, another denomination, to heal. Mm-hmm. And then my wife was like, we need to go back home. We need to eat. Yeah. Bigger plates.
Yeah.
Better food, deeper, topics and whatnot. And that's fine, even if you go somewhere else to heal and whatnot. But, come back. Come back. God has plans for you, for your future. He wants what's best for you. So
exactly. Well, we've had a great time, bro. It's been fun.
It is, yeah. Wow, time went by really quick.
Yeah, I left and came back and
now we're still talking. Jeez.
Nah, man, it's been an honor having you here on the show.
Awesome.
We appreciate you sharing your testimony with us, and I know it's going to be a blessing to everybody that listens. And,
oh man, I hope it is.
It's the prodigal son.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thanks for having me, and everybody from Activados. Thanks for watching, man. It's gonna be awesome.
Yep. So stay tuned for more. Like and share this video and subscribe to the channel and go follow him on all his social media accounts. So. All right. God bless you guys.
Hola, gracias por conectarse aquí con nosotros en Activados en esta semana. Para nosotros fue un privilegio tenerles conectados con nosotros y espero que este episodio haya sido de bendición. Si usted no se ha suscrito al canal, por favor hágalo lo más pronto posible. Comparta estos videos con su amigo, una amiga, sus hijos, tal vez su abuelo le guste, nunca sabe uno. Por favor, conéctese siempre, cada semana con nosotros. Siempre vamos a traer algo nuevo y le va a gustar mucho a usted. Siga las páginas de Instagram, siga las páginas de Facebook. Siempre estamos poniendo nuevas cosas para ustedes. ¡Activados!